What is up, everybody? This is a brand new show that we're going to be doing every Wednesday. I am Liam Murphy. Introducing on the channel today, he came on once before, but this is my cousin, technically second cousin, Bert. Bert, how you doing today?
Doing great. Excited to talk about these games here.
Bert, as you can hear, is a little hoarse in the voice. Bert and I were just at a wedding. And for loyal fans of my channel, you would know that I won the $1 million of Best Ball Mania 2 when I was on Bert's bachelor party. And then another one of our bachelor party members, Nate, we just was celebrating his wedding up in New Hampshire. So just want to set the scene for the show. The show is going to be Bert and I talking NFL, picking the games against the spread, and we will keep track of those games. We could be terrible sports gamblers. You might be sitting there, you might want to tail us, or you might want to opposition bet us if we're so bad. This is purely entertainment. Bert and I live in Florida and North Carolina, respectively, and so we can't even bet on sports. I'm not going to bet with an illegal bookie, but if Florida somehow lets us to bet, we will bet the games. So yeah, if you are watching this on replay, you have suggestions for a segment we should do, something we should talk about next week. Any of that, let us know. Bert, any thoughts on any of that?
Yeah, no, I mean it's exciting to get to talk NFL. A lot of the fantasy stuff goes over my head. I'm not a huge fantasy guy, but I do love the league and have pretty much been in love with it since I don't know. I was like in 5th grade, so it's nice to get in front of a microphone for all those. Anytime you live in the internet streets and see those guys saying start your own podcast, well, we're doing it, and there's not a lot of people with the guts to do that, and so when your eardrums feel assaulted, just know that this is something that we do on a regular basis in the car, on the phone. This is truly how we talk about the NFL every week. And
yeah, so
often.
Not sure how long the show is going to go. This first episode, and I know what you're thinking out there. Who starts an NFL show week 3? Well, us. And so, without further ado, we're going to be today showing the DraftKings bet lines, and we're going to try to rip this show on Wednesday so we can also include the Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to open an Excel sheet, and in the future, I'll have an Excel sheet in the comments for you out there to see our bets of the week. But for today, I'm just going to have this open so I can keep track of Bert and Liam's bets. Again, this is entertainment-wise. If you don't like the show, that's okay. If you do like the show, that's okay. If you're listening out there, please let us know. Let us know that you are listening to this content. And yes, I did hand make this thumbnail. Pretty cool, right? All right, Bert. Kicking it off with Thursday Night Football. We have the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cleveland Browns. The spread is currently +4 for the Steelers. And I think in future shows we'll have like our best bets and whatnot like that. But for today, I think we'll just run through each game, try to keep it to 5 minutes a game so we can get through all these and not have like an hour and a half show. A little bit I'd say about the game is it's nut up or shut up time for Mitchell Trubisky. There's already rumors out there that Kenny Pickett could start sooner than later if he does not provide. The Browns have one of the best O-lines in the league. I'm a little surprised to see the Browns as such favorites.
I think this is a historical line. I mean, I think there's something with Cleveland losing some absurd amount of games, kind of like in the Buffalo Brady era. Like Pittsburgh wins a lot in Cleveland. I agree. But
Bert's a Pats fan, by the way, Harrison, and I'm a Bills fan. So,
just with Cleveland's meltdown last week, I don't think that they necessarily lose this game, but I don't like them to win by a touchdown. I mean, I do like them to win by like a field goal. So I actually like Pittsburgh in this one. And then
Take Pittsburgh +4.
yeah, I like Pittsburgh +4. And then
We're doing this
kind of
live, by the way, guys. We don't know each other's takes, so
hedging here. I think the over under is like 38. In the event, what'd you say?
38.5. Yeah, it might be a little small. I'll work on making that big.
Yeah, and 38.5. I mean, that's a low over under for an NFL game. But
zoom it in so we can only see one game at a time or so.
I think that in the event that Cleveland like goes out there and blows doors and wins like 42-3, then I don't think you'd be stupid to take the over in this game either, just because 38.5 is so low, and this still is the NFL.
Yeah. Well, okay, so we're primarily going to pick against the spread every game. Eventually, we'll have our top picks, but we'll sprinkle in some over-unders. I've not had the chance to watch all the games because we had a wedding last week. I flew on Sunday, but my knee-jerk reaction to this line is when you're a home team in the NFL, usually they give you a field goal. So like on a neutral field, this is Cleveland -1, I guess. No idea how the money's been bet on it, but the Browns have the best, if not one of the best O-lines in the league. I'm shocked that Pittsburgh is an underdog.
You're shocked they're an underdog?
Yeah, I'm shocked Pitt's an underdog.
You think they should be favored, huh? I mean, Pittsburgh is bad, dude. Like, Pittsburgh is bad. And they don't have –
I mean, one team is starting Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, but, I mean, they don't have, like, pass rushers right now. I mean,
TJ Watt. The Jets. Well, TJ Watt missing is a big thing, but who did Pitt beat week 1? They beat
Cincinnati, but that was like Cincinnati played as bad as they possibly could. I think they threw 4 or 5 picks in the first half, and Joe Burrow should have won that game had they made an extra point to win that game. So, I mean, like, Pittsburgh is really 0-2. They're very lucky.
I mean, I don't know, but what was that game of that New England? What was the score of that New England game?
17-14. And I would have taken New England in that game because Pittsburgh is just such an abject disaster.
I'll take the other side of the coin. I'll take Cleveland -4. I don't like Lane essentially a touchdown favorite, but I'm going to take Cleveland -4 with the idea that they have, again, one of the best O-lines in the league. Pittsburgh's a little beat up. But I don't know. I'm tempted to take Pitt. We'll take Cleveland. We're going to ride with the best O-line and the running backs, but I don't know. I just think that when I bet sports, which I don't do often, I try to think through what is the public thinking about it and try to opposition bet the public. So I feel like the public's kind of like, well,
if this was 2 years ago, I would tell you, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, primetime game, doesn't matter the rosters, take Pittsburgh. There's something sewn into those uniforms.
I never believe that.
There's something sewn into those uniforms that like they just can't get it done against them. And but they kind of they're done with that. They've beaten them in a playoff game now, maybe twice even. And I think that Pittsburgh +4, I'm comfortable with that, but I hate this game. I mean, like it's just a lot of
teams. It's not a game I like for DFS either. But
there's a couple games that I hate here, and really what it comes down to is like mediocre to bad teams playing each other, trying to predict those lines. Like, you don't really know what they're. I'd much rather.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take Cleveland -4 just to be on the other side there, but I don't know about that one. Moving on, anyways, we got Chiefs at Colts. Chiefs, I'm kind of shocked that this line is so small, -5.5.
Love the Chiefs.
That's
here.
an easy.
Love the Chiefs.
That's an easy Chiefs -5. This feels like once public money, it's going to balloon up to. I don't like the Colts have looked terrible.
So let's look at the Colts. Let's look at the Colts' last 3 games. Which
their O-line's in shambles. The Chiefs actually have a really good defense this year, I think. I don't really know why this isn't being treated like the Bills played the Titans, where that was like, 10 points or something. The Colts could straight up maybe not score points. Maybe Michael Pittman fixes them, but
it's because the Colts are at home too. So the
Yeah, they're
the
at
Bills,
home, so it's
Bills
really
are home.
8.5. But I'm gonna take Kansas City minus 5.5.
Yeah, I like KC here too. I don't know how you couldn't. I mean, people are talking about Frank Reich being on the hot seat 2 weeks into the season. He's played Houston and Jacksonville in his last 3 games and has not had a win in any of them. Include if you go back to week 17 of last year, and
I
last year
like Frank Reich as a coach, but I don't see. I mean, the Colts have looked terrible against bad teams, right? Like
24-0 against Jacksonville last week. I mean, it's hard to believe that Kansas City will come in here and let them hang around.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Some teams are the type of way where they will like take the gas off once they are leading. Kansas City is a team that has a bunch of new wide receivers that they're trying to gel with Patrick Mahomes. So to me, they would be smart, even if they're up 2 touchdowns, keep running, keep getting practicing with Pat Mahomes for the games that matter later. Moving on, Bills versus Dolphins. We got Bills -6. I think that if the Dolphins lost last week, this would have been -10. So I'm a Bills fan, but I'm going to take easily Buffalo -6. The Bills' defensive line is by far and away the best in the NFL. And they do have some injuries to monitor with Micah Hyde, their free safety. But yeah, I see Buffalo blowing the Dolphins out if they get their players back.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question that. I mean, if it was a money line game, Buffalo is like obviously going to win this game. I do think Buffalo has what I think is the most important piece of an elite defense, which is your ability to get pressure with 4. That they have that.
They are the lowest blitzing team in the NFL, and they have the highest pressure rate in the NFL.
Yeah, but then you
They're
look
getting
at
home with 4.
you look at their corner situation. That I mean, prayers out to that kid that went out yesterday, but I'm wondering if it's even going to matter with the pressure. You know, it seems like Mike McDaniel's for real, and if he has Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill coming off the edge and really just getting those guys in space, I could see this game being a shootout. I don't see Miami winning, but I could see them keeping it within 6. So I actually like Miami +6 here.
Yeah, to me, it's just this is a knee-jerk line that would have been lower without the guys. And
well, we're gonna get to one of those with Cincinnati here in a second, and that's
I mean, I could just see. I am a little worried because Buffalo has inexperienced corners, but they're gonna force Miami to nickel and dime them, and and the Ravens secondary is like pretty beat up. So like I feel like it's recency bias that is keeping this line close. And I mean, look, I like Miami. I think they're a good team. They could be 13 to 11 win team, I think, if things break right. But I just think, their O-line is not that good, and the Bills are another level caliber. Moving on, we got Eagles -6.5 versus the feisty Commanders. How are you feeling about that one, Bert?
I like Washington here. Philly, a lot of people are talking about them as kind of Super Bowl contenders, and these last 2 weeks they have looked that way. But we don't really know exactly what they are. Are they really a top tier team like they've been playing? Or are they going to kind of come back to earth? They're coming into Washington, and Washington. They beat Detroit in the first. No, that was Philly that beat Detroit. They beat I can't remember who they beat, but they're 1-1 obviously. But the only worry here
played the Jaguars and they played.
So they beat. Yeah, they beat.
So they played 2.
Jacksonville, and then did they lose to Detroit? Yeah, so they lost to Detroit.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just think that the one thing to worry about here, and I know some of this stuff doesn't matter to the listeners, but like Carson Wentz, he is a little bit of a basket case in playing his former team, kind of having that thing in the back of his head. You really don't know what
you're making the case for the other side here.
Well, yeah, that's my concern. But I do like the Commanders
minus the points
to stay within a touchdown.
Yeah, I want to take Philly minus the points. And the thought is, I do think the Eagles are a legit Super Bowl contender team because I thought before the season they have a nasty defense. They went and traded for Bradbury of the Giants, a corner, and they already had Slay, who shut down Jefferson last night. The only concern for the Eagles is they are kind of a team that when they're up, they're going to try to run out the ball. And so maybe that can let the Commanders into it. I do like the Commanders offense. But I just think the Eagles with their D-line and their offense, I like them by a touchdown, but it's not my most confident spot.
Yeah, and I mean that's really what it is that if this was Philly -4, I'm taking Philly. But 6.5.
6.5 is a lot.
It's a big line in the NFL, so yeah.
All right. Well, moving on, we have a pretty shocking line.
Yeah, this is the lock of the week to me. I mean, I don't know how you can look at this game any other way than you have to take Cincinnati here. I mean, the idea that they're not going to come in and I know the Jets beat them last year, but they're going to let the Jets hang around 0-2. I mean, this is a gotta-have-it game for them. They're going to win this game, and they're going to win it handedly. I'm really confident.
It'll be Joe Flacco's last game.
Sure.
Last Flacco magic. Yeah, I mean, the Bengals need to win this game.
And the Jets are coming in off this heroic let down. This whole practice week, for them has probably been we put this crazy comeback together. There's no way that I've watched a lot of the Jets in the last 20 years, and there's no way that they're coming in and keeping this game with them.
Well, I'll say this about the Jets. The Jets, they have the pieces on offense, right? Because Garrett Wilson, new addition, real good. Corey Davis is healthy. They got good running backs. They have a better O-line. So they've invested in their team. But give me Joe Burr to pull this one out. So moving on to another pretty surprising line.
And this line has gone down since this morning.
We have the Ravens on the road, -2.5 versus the
Super Bowl quarterback. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel, for that.
Joe Flacco elite.
Ravens -2.5 versus the Patriots. Now, the Ravens are a team that their secondary is pretty beat up, and they have no running game at all right now. They just lost a heartbreaker against Miami. I'm not that impressed with the Patriots D, but I think I'm just wrong there because they're playing they played the Dolphins offense good, even though they lost. So
yeah, with that game though, they got shut out 17-0 in the first half. And so the Dolphins kind of came out, I think, a little bit more conservatively in the second half. But in the first half, they were giving them everything they could. I think if you are on the Patriots this week,
I took the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens -2.5.
Yeah, I think, and I'm obviously rooting for the Patriots. I'm not going to, or I mean, I'm not betting any of the games, but I would not be betting this game because Baltimore is going to.
Got to pick it though. Are you taking Ravens -2.5?
No, yeah, Baltimore is going to win. Baltimore is going to win this game, and they're going to win it by at least a field goal.
So you're taking Baltimore -2.5 too.
Yeah. It's I mean, I think if you
had a chance there to lean into the hometown, create a bet, always pick New England, you couldn't do it.
No, I mean maybe if it was -5 at home, you can maybe talk yourself into that. And this is -3 this morning. I don't know what's going on. I think there's probably a lot of home money on the Patriots, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Who did the Ravens play week 1? They played it was a bad team. They played the Jets.
Yeah, right? They blew somebody out. Yeah, I think it was the Jets.
That was not
Yeah, because that was the Flacco return game.
That wasn't that competitive a game. I mean, I don't think we know what type of team New England is yet. New England is either awful or middling to they're either
yeah, no, I think New England is middling, but I don't think that they are
5.
I don't think that they are in Baltimore's class.
Yeah, I mean,
When I went through
I'm
the
pretty
schedule.
surprised this is Baltimore minus 2.5, but I don't know. I guess it's just the way maybe historically the New England D's played the Ravens, but I don't really.
Yeah, when I went through this year, I had this as a scheduled loss, so I do not expect him to win this game.
Next is Detroit +6 facing the Vikings. This is one that I would if I would bet this game myself, I would bet the Lions straight up. The Lions are a team, so I'm taking Lions plus the points, obviously. But the Lions are a team that have a really good offense, except for the quarterback, which he's manageable. And I made the point in the offseason that if you compare this Lions offense to the Jared Goff Rams Super Bowl team, it's pretty similar. So Amon-Ra St. Brown is Cooper Kupp. Obviously, he's not Cooper Kupp, but he's becoming that. You got TJ Hawkinson as the Higbee role. Jameson Williams not healthy yet, but DJ Chark instead is that Brandon Cooks role. And, you got DeAndre Swift being Gurley. And they have one of the best O-lines in football. The Vikings are confusing. They got a new coach. They got the Rams' old coach, and Kevin O'Connell, I believe is his name. They look good week one. They got their ass beat on Monday Night Football. I was watching the Bills game, so I didn't get to watch that much. But I guess the Vikings are going to come in here and try to run the football. It's pretty high over-under at 53, by the way. But I'm taking Lions +6. Do you see that one differently?
Yeah, I mean, I like Detroit here. This is a classic. I watched all 4 episodes of Hard Knocks because
gotta go with the Hard Knocks.
Dan Campbell is a lightning rod. It's the first full season of Hard Knocks I've watched in probably like 5 years because he is that compelling, that charismatic, that he's that dude. So I love Detroit here, and I will love Detroit for the rest of the year probably. But yeah, I mean, +6, a huge line. Minnesota, they're coming off a loss. Justin Jefferson, I think, going to get the ball a lot in this game. So player props for him. But
yeah, I mean, I just don't think the Lions have the corners to match up with Jefferson. And I mean, the Lions do have a bad D, so this is feasible. But they're also a team like no quit. Dan Campbell is not the type of guy who's.
Did you see what he did with the? Did you see what he did with the backup long snapper?
No, what'd he do?
So he cut a guy. It was in Hard Knocks, I guess. I must not have been paying attention at that point, but he cut a guy. Somebody got injured, brought the guy back up from the practice squad. After their win, he had him first to the podium, like didn't let anybody else. And the whole team is like, everybody loves this guy. Like he's, hands in dirt, very, very big.
The up downs, man. The up downs.
Yeah, the 40 up downs was,
legendary. All right, let's move on here. Try to keep this show on pace. This is another pretty shocking line to me. Raiders -2 versus the Titans. I'm easily going to take the Raiders -2.
Yep.
I think they're gonna be able to pass the ball, and they're just gonna jam Josh Jacobs down the Titans' throat. The Titans are a mess. I said in the offseason, they could be flat out bad. I don't see them moving the ball really against the Raiders. They're a team that, I mean, their best wide receiver is Treylon Burks, and they're not featuring him. The Raiders don't have the defense that the Bills do, but they've played okay defense against some strong NFL offenses in the Cardinals and the Chargers. Like they're not letting 30, 40 points on the scoreboard. So I'm going to take the Raiders -2. I get that it's like the West Coast traveling east, blah, 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 but I'm taking Raiders.
Yeah, well, I just like the Titans. What do they do well, or what has been their identity for the last 2 years, which is run the ball and play good defense, and they're not doing either of those things right now. And so anytime the team is just struggling at what it's supposed to be, and that's what they've been established for the last 2 seasons, I just don't love them against a Vegas team that really needs a win. If this thing isn't going to go off the rails here, because Vegas is looking down
the road. They're 0-2, right?
Yeah, and this is like kind of their gotta have it game, I think. Or I mean, it's obviously gotta have it. They're 0-2, but I think that they're looking a couple other tough matchups down. Like they're in Denver, maybe, and then which everybody knows
is hard West, so that's
to win there. Yeah, so they gotta have this. I just don't see Vegas coming in and losing this game.
Would you so you're taking Las Vegas -2 too?
Yeah, I like them -2.
Moving on, we got Saints versus Panthers. Saints -3 on the road at the Panthers. Now, my thoughts on this is I like both the defenses in this. Mayfield is the thing that the Panthers are doing is they're really taking the air out of the football. They're trying to play really slow pace. The thing with Jameis is, and the Panthers actually have a pretty good defense. Like they have good players on their D. Jameis has got 4 fractures in his back, so that's a major question. If Jameis turns the ball over, I could see this game going the Panthers' way, but I'm gonna take the Saints -3 against the Panthers. I'll roll with
Yeah, well, I think the problem with what you just said is if Jameis turns the ball over, and that's a when statement because Jameis is going to turn the ball over and he's going to do it multiple times probably.
He's been a little bit different with he's not been like the Tampa Bay Jameis with the Saints.
Oh, I don't agree with that. He threw a back-breaking pick in that Tampa game last week.
Yes, I mean, but that.
I think
that's recent. Like he's not really been that way his whole. Like he's been more.
He was hurt all of last year, wasn't he? And then,
well, I mean, he's been hurt a lot is the thing, and I think if he wasn't hurt, this line would be like -6. But even Andy Dalton or Taysom Hill, like that's not that much of a difference than Baker at this stage.
I think the Saints are the better team. Just the Jameis thing, I like Carolina here.
Got to go with the hometown squad, man. You're in.
Home dogs are always one thing I love.
I'm kind of feeling the opposite of like last week. I didn't look at all the lines, but I saw some, and I thought they were laying way too many points to underdogs. But
but like some of the most of the lines that were like -10.5, I was like, oh, I think I need to take the -10.5.
Well, on the Bills game, I would have, but I think like the Texans were like
Green Bay, I think was as well.
The Broncos, I wanted the Texans there. We have the Texans next at Texans +3 against the Bears. So a true pick'em game because this is home field advantage. The Bears field is a mess, man.
Yeah.
In that rainy game. These are two teams that are not that impressive. I'm going to take Houston plus the points when that is the case. Like, I don't really know if I like either of their coaching staffs. But
what's the weather? What's the weather that day?
You know,
what's the weather that day?
I don't know about the weather.
Let me pull it up. But I do like Chicago here.
You're gonna take Chicago -3.
Yeah, just because that Soldier Field grass.
I mean, they're both going to be trying to run the ball.
They're so uncomfortable throwing. Chicago, and Houston. Can't disagree with the man in a tank top. I'm very actually lukewarm on them, but I think Chicago takes this one.
Okay, one other side's there. Moving on, we have the Upstart Jaguars, who not only has Trevor's like third in some advanced stat that like is usually correlates with MVP after like Josh Allen and Mahomes or something like that. So Trevor's looked good for the Jaguars with an actual NFL coach. Their defense is also much better than years past, but the Chargers, on the other hand, Brandon Staley has been a mess early.
Yes, Brandon Staley is not a good coach.
But and Keenan Allen is questionable, but I'm going to take the Chargers minus the points. I think the Chargers are the second best team in football if everyone is healthy for them. So I'm going to take them. I don't really know their philosophy when they're up big. They're doing weird things with Herbert too. They're not really like throwing it down deep. They're like Drew Breesing him, making him check it down. But I'll take Chargers minus the touchdown. Not a line I love, but is what it is.
Yeah, and I mean I disagree with you here again. I mean I just no team plays up or down to the competition quite like the LA Chargers. I mean I think they beat Las Vegas by 4. and then they lost to Kansas City by 3. So that's kind of the two.
Yeah, that was like a fluky pick six that from my understanding,
Yeah,
the
but then
Chargers
did
can
you
score
watch the
back.
play? Like the receiver was going over to the sideline saying to Brandon Staley, "Hey, I am gassed. You need to take me out." And then he
That was
runs
Gerald
this like
Everett, I think. He was trying to get
what?
off the field or
Yeah,
something.
no, that's what I'm saying. And then he runs this crummy route, and Fields or Herbert throws it to him, and it goes back the other way. So it's like they just don't have that thing that, or at least they don't have it yet, where they have it figured out in those like crunch time situations. There's probably not gonna be crunch time in this game, and they probably will blow out Jacksonville. But just seeing how they've been playing to the teams and knowing how they do play to the teams, and Jacksonville kind of looking like they might be figuring things out. I kind of like them within a touchdown here.
Cool. Moving on, we got 5 more games left. We have the Packers plus 1.5 versus Tampa minus 1.5. These are two teams who are searching for answers a little bit. Tampa is going to be
pick 'em.
without.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tampa's going to be without Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is doubtful. So they're going to be rolling out like Russell Gage, Scotty Miller, and Brashad Perryman. They're going to probably run the shit out of the ball. Green Bay is also going to try to establish the run. They have all those young wide receivers and all those old dust balls. Tampa being at home, I guess I'll take Tampa being a guy who lives in St. Pete minus 1.5, but it's not going to shock me if Tampa gets their wheels blown off without Mike Evans either. Tampa's O-line's a disaster. Tampa's just going to pretty much run the ball with Fournette. They also lost, I think, Akeem Nicks.
I don't think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I don't know. I could see the Packers really blowing Tampa out here. Are you taking Tampa? Because I'll take the other side if you are.
I like Tampa. I don't
I'll
think
take Green Bay then.
I don't think Green Bay is blowing out. I mean, they're going to blow out some teams, but with the receiver problems, I just don't.
Two teams downtrending, right?
Yeah, we're just trying to figure it out. I just don't think that Green Bay is at a point right now, and they struggle with Tampa. So
last year I thought Brady was like stat padding, trying to get. That's not the case this year. This year it's like, let's try to get our wins. We're injured. I'm going through midlife crisis. Whatever is going on with him, but I'll take Green Bay plus 1.5 after they got a win with Aaron Jones. But I don't know. Honestly, this is an uncomfortable spot. Next, we have Rams minus 3.5 on the road against the Cardinals, who shocked and pulled up that upset victory late in the fourth against the Raiders. So the thing with the Cardinals is they're coached by a terrible coach, Cliff Kingsbury. He is not good. They are missing Rondale Moore. Hopefully he can come back. They will not have Hopkins until week 7. It's just not been impressive. Their defense is terrible. One of the worst defenses in the league. So I always like betting with Kyler Murray, but the thing about the Rams is their running game's been terrible. But give me Statty Ice minus 3.5. I'm gonna take the Rams minus 3.5 on the road.
Yeah, Rams have it figured out. I think they were one of those teams that didn't play any preseason games and then walked into that buzzsaw that is the Bills. So I think a lot of people were low on them for that. And then they almost choked away that game. Was it Atlanta last week? But I think first divisional matchup for them, they're going to take care of business and they'll be all right. So I like the Rams minus 3.5 here too.
Cool. We got 3 more games to round it out. Falcon Seahawks. I'm surprised here. How about you take this one to begin, Bert?
What is it? 1.5?
It's Falcons plus 1.5 on the road.
This is another one of those games that I hate.
I kind of like this game, and so I'll give my side after.
I think probably Seattle.
Cool. I'm taking the other side.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, and just because they're at home, I mean, and
For
Atlanta's
me,
Atlanta. Like,
I actually like Marcus Mariota, and I like the offensive weapons that the Falcons have had. They upset the Saints week 1. They played the Rams tough. I think the Falcons are like a good offense. Their defense is whatever, but I like Marcus Mariota, Drake London, and Kyle Pitts to put together against Seattle.
yeah, but did you see like that Kyle Pitts only has 7 targets?
Well, I think people are freaking out about that, and my take on that is part of the reason why Kyle Pitts and the Bills did the same thing against the Rams, like why he got no targets is because against Aaron Donald, you need a little bit more blocking help. And so I think that's like a pattern we're going to see with tight ends, but that's more fantasy.
Okay,
so.
well then like bench your third wide receiver and have Kyle Pitts run.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there, but I'm taking the Falcons plus 1.5. I like Marcus Mariota to be able to run the ball, get the ball moving. The Seattle is one of the worst teams in football, and I think the Falcons are better. And I'm getting points, which is crazy to me. Next, we have kind of a shocking line. The 49ers.
I know. This one was crazy to me too. I guess
the 49ers with Jimmy G on the road in Sunday Night Football.
I don't know what's going on there because I know that Mile High is the best home field in all of the NFL, but holy crap! What they have going on with that coach Hackett over there? Did you hear about that? They've been counting down. They had to count down the play clock at home because he's like so buried in the playbook. He looks
like a buffoon. He looks like fireable already.
I mean, dude, what is going on, man? I mean, like that is for a head coach to be at home and your fans are telling you consistently how many seconds are on the play clock. I mean, they have a real issue. I mean, if you're taking San Francisco here, if you're not taking San Francisco here, you're either a Denver fan or you got some inside information. Because
actually, my take on this is like, I do like San Fran minus 1.5, but if I'm wondering if it's gone too much with this, like I think the sentiment is so down on Hackett, and maybe rightly so. But I think it's gone too far. Like if they didn't have those meltdowns, this line would be like Broncos -3. Like the Broncos people were talking about them as like Super Bowl teams. So I'm going to take Denver plus the points and just say that the public's gone too far with this coaching, with this like coaching hate of Hackett, and that like I still think.
Wait, so you like Denver here then?
I'm going to take Denver. I'm surprised they're an underdog at home.
Home dogs.
Even though it's like they're a good team. And it's like, okay, maybe Russ really is dead, but I'm not ready to say that yet. And like, I know Judy's questionable. They're finally playing Javonte more, but I'm going to take Denver plus the points and bet that Hackett and Russell get their shit together here. But I don't feel good.
No, what do you think? You think Trey Lance is his career over?
I don't think his career's over. His season's over.
Well, yeah, I mean that's indisputable. I'm saying like if you were to take,
that's the worst thing, man, for like all his fantasy football people is like we need another year of like is Trey Lance good?
Well, I think that there's a good chance he's done, man, because it's like this was his year to kind of have it to like get it figured out. And when you look back, have you like looked at how many snaps he played in college and stuff like that?
Not a lot, right?
Yes, like he played a full season, and then in a COVID year he played like a 1-game like pro-am type deal.
Yeah, he barely played, right? So
and then he didn't play any snaps his rookie year, and now he's played 1 game and like a drive.
Why are we saying that? Like they've traded 3 first-round picks for the guy. If he can get healthy, I mean,
but if he's not,
maybe
his timeline is so accelerated now because now it's going to be like, okay,
but the guy that we drafted. San Francisco's pieces are getting older. Like they're not going to be a team that's good for like the next, 5 years for sure.
Good GMs typically say that year 2 is when they decide, hey, is this a guy that we're really going to give our 5th-year option to?
Well,
And
the real question is, what the hell are they doing with Jimmy? Are they going to have those two guys battled in camp?
well, yeah, and that's total crap too because they treated him so poorly this year, and they just like are bailed out. Did you see their Super Bowl odds went down, or
Went
they have a
up.
higher chance of winning the Super Bowl now that Trey Lance is hurt.
I don't know, man. I think it was a mistake not to give Trey a season last year. Like, I didn't think they were Super Bowl quality, but what do I know?
Well,
They
and they
were
went to the
almost
NFC
in there.
Championship, so it's kind of
Yeah,
like, what
and
you're
they
gonna
should
do.
have won that game. The next,
I hate this game, and it's going to be one of the most watched games in the NFL this week. Oh my God, the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants. What, is this a
this,
primetime game too?
yeah, this is Monday Night Football. This
Jeez.
is, and then we get oh no, it's Thursday. Monday Night Football, and we get the 2-0 New York Giants at home,
I know.
-1
It's crazy.
versus Cooper Rush and the Cowboys, who shocked the world and beat the brakes off of the Bengals.
Okay, they didn't beat the brakes off them. They won by a field goal.
Well, they won. So, I mean, Cooper Rush has been able to move the ball. The Giants are kind of doing what the Panthers are doing. I said earlier, where they're 100%. Like, all this talk about Brian Dable was like, oh, Brian Dable, he's going to bring this Bills game. Like, Daniel Jones is going to beat Josh Allen. No, Brian Dable is running Saquon as much as he can. He's trying to hide Daniel Jones. They're
Who said that Daniel Jones is going to become Josh Allen?
Every that's like the hot, like, oh, Brian Dable.
That's an absurd take. That's an absurd. He's just not that guy.
It always was absurd. But the other thing is, Kadarius Toney is the Giants' best wide receiver, barely playing him. Kenny Golladay, their highest paid wide receiver, they played him 2 snaps last week, and he like quit the team or something. He might be back. So they're running out. Their wide receivers are like
They're having like a wide receiver coup, and they're 2-0.
David Sills.
It's the most NFL storyline ever. Like the corners and wide receivers are like, I'm not being utilized.
Yeah, I mean they're -1. They're not playing their. It's shocking to me. Tony has to be hurt because he looks electric when he touches the ball. But like if they're doing like, oh, I'm gonna show you that you're not bigger than the team, and they're like trying to send a message and not play him, they're insane because they should have lost that Titans game. So I'm gonna take.
I think what I love about Brian Daboll is his recognition that like, hey, we are not good, but I am going to go for 2 at the end of games if it's close. You know,
Yeah,
keep
he's
like
smart in like the
make the fan base at least happy. You know, and they're gonna get a couple cool wins like that. I think that
I'm taking Dallas +1.
yes, same. And I like them because, you know, I just look at the best player on the field in Micah Parsons, who might be the best player in the NFL.
Yeah,
And
really
they are
what
gonna get after Daniel Jones. And even if they decide to run the ball, I just don't really see them.
I think Dallas has a good run D. So
Yeah,
let me.
I mean that defensive line is just. Ugh.
Let me share the summary of our picks here. So running through the top here, we're on. I'm just going to highlight green, the one we have the same, so that it sticks out the ones we have different. So the ones we're unity with is Cincinnati -5, Kansas City -5.5. We're both taking the Lions +6. Both taking Baltimore -2.5. We're both taking Las Vegas -2. We are both taking the Rams, and we are both taking Dallas. So the ones we're on the other side of the coin about are, I'm taking Cleveland -4. Don't feel great about that one at all, honestly. Because I said I thought Pitt would maybe be a favorite. I got Buffalo -6. Bert's got Miami +6. I got Philly -6.5. Bert's got a lot of underdogs. Saints -3. I got Houston +3, Chargers -7, Green Bay +1.5, Atlanta +1.5, and Denver +1.5. Guys, let us know for our fans out there. Bert or Liam, whose card do you like before we get out of here? Bert, any closing thoughts before we get out of here today?
Yeah, I mean, just looking forward to another great week of football, and then just hearing from you guys if you want us to talk about anything else. Like, we have other interests outside the NFL. The new Star Wars series just came out. We've been watching Lord of the Rings and stuff like that too. So,
Is that out already?
yeah, they dropped 3 episodes. I'm on episode 3. Watch them all in a row because
I'm gonna
the
watch that
first
right now.
the first 2 episodes are kind of like but I've heard that it's incredible.
Well, it must be all sex bots watching because not a single person has said Bert or Liam. It's really easy.
Make it bigger.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, guys, we're going to get the quality of the show down, get a better thumbnail, get a better whatever. If you're watching this on replay and you stuck this long, thank you. Make sure to subscribe. For DFS people, I'm going to be back on the channel Friday with Pat Carrain. Tomorrow, I'll do a DFS crunch for Showdown, just kind of talk through some of the Showdown players. Have had some success on Showdown myself, but close us out here, guys. Bert or Liam, just got to say one name here. Come on now. And Bert and I will be doing this every Wednesdays. Again, this is more entertainment. We can't actually bet these games, but if I am traveling and I can, I will be. If I am traveling and I can bet, I will be betting these games. And personally, I'm confident about all my picks, so I would parlay these.
I'm not confident about all mine, so thank you, Kev. Thank you, Kev. And yeah, college football too, if you want to talk that. I mean, I think I
don't want to talk college football because I don't watch it. So
there's still some NFL here. Herm Edwards just got fired from Arizona State. An amazing story. And that used to be an NFL guy. So back when we were like kids.
Yeah.
Something to look into. I just recommend anybody who's not into college football, just reading up, because there's a lot of story. There's a lot of personnel in that. Like Antonio Pierce was his, Antonio Pierce was his defensive coordinator, and apparently like very toxic, turned off the entire team. And that's like an old Giants linebacker. So, yeah.
Daniel, you might have to be my tax attorney to hear this specific request. But all right, guys, have a great day. Excited for some football. Hopefully, we're going to recap these picks next Wednesday. Hopefully, I'm wearing the crown. I didn't remember to wear my goddamn gambling hat. So remind me, guys, next show. I got my bookie hat. That I'll try to wear. I'll try to wear this most shows. You know us. Starting our show week 3, bringing out the bookie hat at the end of the show. We got all our shit together. Subscribe to our show.
Peace.